Well, I'm joined now by Roger Schlesinger. He is the Mortgage Minute guy. Roger, always good to see you.
Good to see you, Don.
Now, I know you guys have just been busy like there's no tomorrow lately with the HARP applications that are coming back and forth. But you just mentioned to me before coming on the air something pretty interesting about that. Why don't you share that?
It's extremely interesting because I have no bias one way or the other than I own a lot of real estate and I'd like to see it going. I had 4 or 5 HARP loans on my desk the other day, and I went through them, and the first thing I want to do is see how far underwater they are. So I ran every one of them, their comp, and it turned out none of them were underwater. They all had equity. Some of them had gigantic equity they didn't realize. There's been a tremendous amount of home sales in the last month or so that have kicked these values way up. So that out of 5, I had none, but I had 5 real refinances that I could do because they weren't underwater anymore. So the next day, I'm trying to figure out what did I miss, and all along comes Zillow, who is a real estate valuation company nationwide, although their valuations are done in a way that it really doesn't give you true value. In fact, some of my people use Zillow and said I'm underwater, and in fact they weren't. But nevertheless, they do know the real estate market, and they said that they feel that the bottom is in or it is about to be in, and that for the next 4 to 5 years, they expect 4% growth annually in real estate. And I hope they're right because, you know, I have a lot of real estate and I'd like to see it start growing again. Now, if that is true, and I tend to believe it is because I'm seeing it all over the nation, not just in LA, but I'm seeing it in various parts of the nation because we loan across the nation, that values are going up, and if values are going up, rates are going to follow.
Well, you know, it's been a strange phenomenon since the real estate market crashed a few years ago, because that was something that we were always able to count on. We could go through a recession, we could go through an economic downturn. Never really affected the home all that much, or at least not to the levels that we've seen it affect. I mean, we see people now that had equity when it started, and now they're underwater as much as 50%.
Right, but there is a reason for that, and that is that in the hot markets such as California, such as Las Vegas, such as Miami, housing went crazy.
Right, right.
For instance, in Colorado, I have a big branch in Colorado. They don't even know what a HARP loan is up there because in the turn of the century, all the telecommunications companies came in there, hired a ton of people. 2 years later, they pulled out and their housing collapsed.
I see.
So they didn't have the bubble that we had,
right.
And so they don't have a HARP loan. They have good values and they've been moving up. So it is based on that and the fact that we over-leveraged. But it isn't based on the fact that we gave away loans, that we never looked, that we said, here, go ahead, sign, we won't look at a thing. It has nothing to do with that at all. It really has a lot to do with the entire financial market situation, which we don't have time to get into right now.
No, it's true. But I mean, that's the first time you've said this to me in about 4 years, that you're actually now seeing light at the end of the tunnel, or at least a sign that says there's light at the end of the tunnel. That's the first time you've said that.
And that's just because the builders have stopped building. The people who have gone through foreclosure have gone through it. Yes, there are still a number of foreclosures yet to take place. But I think that as we start moving up, they won't be taking place. I think that the value will return and people will be saying, okay, I'm staying with this house from here on out.
Okay, so now that's all good news. That's all good news. Now, for people watching you right now and they're saying to themselves, well, I got to get in on this because he's telling me things might start changing. Right now, we're at as close to the bottom as you think we're going to get. So they want to talk to the Mortgage Minute guy. How do they go about doing that?
Well, they can go to 866-288-0088, or you can go to our website, mortgageminuteguy.com, hit Find a Mortgage Consultant, and that's a 3-question application. Just fill it out, send it in, and we'll get back to you. And I'll tell you right now, our rates are still in the high 2s and low 3s for almost everything. I mean, we have maybe 1 or 2 rates in the 4s, and that's it. But when real estate starts moving up, mortgages will start moving up, and I expect that by the end of the year.
Again, the website is mortgageminuteguy.com. You're talking to Roger Schlesinger when you do call. Again, Roger, thanks so much.
Thank you, Don.